Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub. Today I'm joined by Wes, aka FPL Heisenberg, to have a look back at the game week so far, see if Wes is on a red or a green arrow, before previewing the upcoming blank game week 28. Wes, first of all, how you doing, mate, and how's the game week been?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate, but the FPL game week's been a bit average. Small red arrow for me, 48 points so far. 6 players to come in the double with obviously captain in that as well, Captain Tony. So yeah, could have definitely been better, of course. Could have been worse. The March goal/own goal fiasco was caused some fun on Twitter, but yeah, a bit of a bummer.
Let's get into that straight away. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Do you reckon he should have been credited, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, again, people are going to say I'm biased because he's in my team, but I do try and I look at things sometimes, and when I've got lucky in FPL with, like, I don't know, let's say if I didn't have March, I would be like, oh, okay, that's a bit lucky. It was his goal. From the angles, I've seen a few different angles. It does look like he's touched it, in my opinion. It's irrelevant now. He's not going to get the points, but I think it did. At first, the sort of main angle that they showed, it was like, okay, it is an own goal, but then there's one, like, it looks like he's got his leg through Harrison's legs, but it's not conclusive either way, I'd say. But if I had to guess one way or the other, I would give it to March personally.
The only thing that's interesting on that is that, you hear in like the post-match interviews, players saying March got a touch or I was put off, or that sort of stuff. So it just makes it a little bit exactly interesting. That. But what can you do?
With Harrison, it's not as if it wasn't like one of those banter interviews where he's trying to like jokingly get out of an own goal. I think he was basically being critical of himself, saying, he could have done better defensively. He was a bit sort of, he wasn't aware to the situation, and then March just got his foot there. Exactly. So he was being quite honest. He was being very critical of himself, but he didn't say, like, I bashed it into my own net. So, that adds weight to the March. Did score it. So, yeah, I think it's his goal. But as always with these sort of decisions, it's not FPL's fault. I think the Premier League or Opta or whoever it is that makes these decisions, they make the decision, then FPL has to go off whatever they go with. So it is what it is. But yeah, I would have liked them points because I think March is one of my main sort of differentials out of my attacking players anyway. Absolutely,
mine too. What we needed was for Kane to score a goal like that and then just claim it and actually be given it. That would have been great. Although that might have been given to him later on, past the deadline, whatever. We saw that fiasco back in the day. All right, rest of the team. Looking interesting. Now, not a lot of points, I will say, from player to player. The likes of Saka and Rashford blanking. But it doesn't really mean too much because everyone has them. Haaland coming in with the points. Trippier doing well. Talk to me, though, about your doublers so far. That's what I want to know about. We've talked about March. Let's talk about the rest of them.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Stupinian got the clean sheet the week before. No clean sheet away at Leeds this time, but I'm happy with him. There's a Crystal Palace home fixture, so very reluctant to judge the Brighton players, and as a team, they've done well in the last couple of weeks. I've just sort of dodged their points. McAllister has been probably the midfielder to go for points wise, but do I regret going for March Matoma? Not really. I still believe in those two as FPL assets, and likewise with the Stupinian. But it's a very small sample. When I've only had these Brighton players for 1.5 game weeks really. So let's see. Matoma got the assist, who was a potential captaincy option, but realistically, I was fairly set on Tony, so I'm not too. It wasn't 50-50 for me, like where it could have gone either way. I was fairly set on Tony.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess the clean sheet being wiped out for Brighton right at the start was quite frustrating. Again, it is an away fixture. Everton are decent at home, but again, was hoping for some returns there for a double Brentford defence. But it is what it is. I'm happy with the strategy so far, and got to wait and see what happens in the midweek. Everything could turn around. A Brighton 2-0 win with March and Matoma involvements means that all Brighton players in my team returned. And likewise for Brentford, if Tony gets a 1-0 win or something, then they're all going to shoot up in points, aren't they? So yeah, got to wait for midweek on those boys.
Exactly. That's the thing with the doubles. It sounds very, very silly to say, but it is 2 fixtures, and also appearance points alone often do count for a lot. Even if Matoma was to blank, for example, but they kept a clean sheet. It's 9 points from 1 assist in a game week. It's very good. That. So, yeah.
Even with someone like Raya, who's on 3 points, and again, he nearly scored. He could have scored late on.
Yeah.
But like, if he gets another, if Brighton concede again and he gets just 1 save point, Raya's got 6 points without even keeping a clean sheet. So that's what double players with 2 fixtures are always good options. And people tend to overreact when, so far they've not done well, the double game week assets as such. They tend to overreact, but you've got to remember big players with good fixtures this week, like Saka and Rashford, like you've already mentioned. And like Salah away at Bournemouth, all these single game week players have blanked. Haaland, 6 points. Again, it's not Mitoma's going to beat that just by turning up midweek. So there's always a lot of merit in double game week players. And even with someone like Tony, 1 assist in the next game or something like that, then he's going to far outscore, or well, actually not far, but just outscore Haaland.
He would outscore him, though. So. He would, yeah.
Yeah. So don't get people tend to, they get a couple of double game week players who haven't done so well or whatever, and they tend to write off double game weeks. That's not really the way. Double game weeks players are still very good options in FPL, always.
Okay, before getting into 28 and your plans for that, first of all, what about your bench points? Because there are quite a few there, and we were just chatting a little bit off camera about how you personally react to bench points. So let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this a lot over the weekend because in part of some hub WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, people are saying, I got 22 points on my bench, I've got this, and then I said, I've got 18 points on my bench, but realistically, I haven't got 18 points on my bench because this was a week I was never 18 is my total, right, for my bench points, but I'm never going to get them on the field because 2 of them comes from my sub goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper I've chosen has already outscored Ward with the fixtures come, and I'm obviously always going to play that double fixture. I've got Martinelli on the bench, but again, I've built a strong wildcard squad, so I was expecting some points on my bench this week. I'm always going to play the double game week player. So realistically, who was I going to bench over Martinelli? Someone like Kane? No, and he outscored him anyway. Haaland got a goal. I could have maybe gone Martinelli over Saka, but realistically, I'm going to choose Saka on penalties.
Yeah,
Rashford's in amazing form. So I just had to bench Martinelli basically. And okay, he's got 8 points, but it's not, again, let's just say it compared to Saka, it's only that 5 additional points. It's not the full 8 points because you can't play 15 players each week. And like I've said, my team's set up far too well for a bench boost in 29 to use it this week. And likewise with Zinchenko there, I had it was a bit of a coin flip almost, Zinchenko versus Trippier for me. But I felt like a home fixture to Wolves for Newcastle, the best defence in the league, was better than Fulham away. Fulham have obviously been very good this year, but they just collapsed at the weekend. So yeah, and again, I haven't lost out on 6 points from Zinchenko. I've lost out on 1 point on that decision, but I still stand by it. Trippier's possibly got the better attacking threat, the better fixture. And if he didn't slip over, then he probably gets a bigger score as well. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's all about comparing it to the player that you would have. I haven't got 18 bench points that I've missed out on. I've got maybe 1 point that I've missed out on Zinchenko versus Trippier, which was my only real decision. And like I said, you can't just because Martinelli scored and Saka's blanked, you can't start benching the penalty taker, the player who's been a more reliable asset over Martinelli, the player more likely to get 90 minutes week to week. So yeah, I don't regret benching Martinelli. If you look at my team, I couldn't have benched anyone else in my opinion. So yeah, it is what it is. We've built good squads for bench boost in 29. Don't worry about bench points in the meantime. They're inevitable, and it shows that the players you've got are good players who are on form, ready for that bench boost in 29.
I don't think anyone could begrudge you of your decision-making of benching those players. That's just who you had to bench in that situation.
Yeah.
The only thing that you could say or argue would be, and you said you're well set up for bench boost in 29, completely fair. But just looking at some of the benches this week and the fact that, yeah, Arsenal had a good fixture, even Newcastle had a good defensive fixture. Do you think we slightly overlooked not using the bench boost this week and saving it for 29? I say this myself personally. I have Odegaard on the bench, Zinchenko too. What do you think there? Could we have gone for it?
No, not really. You could have, if you wanted to set up that way on the wildcard in 26, you could have gone for slightly different players. And maybe made sure you had two doubling goalkeepers and maybe slightly different players. But with the way we've gone for it now, I think to change your mind and go for it in 27, yes, you've got points this week and so have I. But if you look forward to 29, Arsenal have got Leeds at home, which is a better fixture this week. And I'm going to be basically benching 12 or 13 double game week players. I'll have Ward, but instead of having Chelsea at home, Ward will have 2 double game week fixtures. I'll have 2 Arsenal players most likely on my bench who have Leeds at home as opposed to Fulham away. Again, a better fixture. And again, instead of Shah there, it will be like someone like Kane as a single game week player or another double game week player. So my bench is going to be even stronger in 29. Yes, I could have got 18 points now, but there's no way my bench in game week 29 is going to score less than, it's not going to get 0 then. So how much does my bench get in 29? I'd like to guess it should get more than 18 points that I've got this week. So yeah, I'm very happy with my decisions to hold my bench boost. And even, I think we said this on our last video, Jack, where we had about 5 outfield players with single game weeks this week. And let's say Saka or Rashford or like we nearly said, Odegaard was nearly sick, wasn't he? Because he missed the European game. If one of them did get randomly get rested, rotated, was sick or whatever, and we weren't told about in the press conferences, then we'd have relied on our bench anyway. So if Saka would have just been ill, then 8 points from Martinelli comes straight into my team. And then my bench boost would have literally been 2, 6, 2, 10 points. So there's whereas in the double game week 29, all of my 11, definitely my 11 and possibly a couple on the bench are going to be double players. So that reduces the likelihood of needing a bench at all. So yeah.
That's very true. It's kind of lucky, but I guess unlucky in a sort of way, or just, it happened. The fact that no one in your first 11 this week had some unlucky benching or ill, injury, that sort of thing. Otherwise, in a normal week, you would have seen those Martinelli points, and that would, of course, as you said, just completely detracted from the bench boost entirely. Overall, not too bad then. And the bench boost to come in 29, that will be fun. As you say, personally for me, I'm a bit like, should I have done it this week? But then, when it comes to 29, say I had played it in this week, I would be thinking the exact same thing. And as you said, I'll be benching Kane and then not getting his points because I wouldn't be bench boosting. So, as you say, it was always going to be a kind of flip flop. But the numbers and the stats and the fixtures all do lean towards 29, and they still do. All right, then let's have a look at your team for the upcoming game week now. 28 blank game week.
Yes.
Run me through it. Your general overall plans, captaincy especially. I want to know.
Yeah, captaincy is a bit tricky this week, isn't it? So it's possible. I guess I'm right in saying that most people are probably going to go for the likes of a Kane away at Southampton, or the likes of a Saka, an Arsenal player at home to Palace, maybe. No, Chelsea haven't really got a captainable asset really at home to Everton. So yeah, I think it's going to be a Kane Saka conundrum. I've set it on Kane for now, and I think I'm fairly set on that.
Okay.
The thing is with Kane's obviously been really consistent all season long, despite Spurs' inconsistencies. Is it 20 Premier League goals for Kane or something silly?
Something he's got like that. He's having an amazing season, just dwarfed by Haaland.
Dwarfed by Haaland. But if this was I think last season's golden boot was like 23 or something. Yeah. So Kane's probably going to surpass last year's golden boot tally, but not win the golden boot. So Kane's been very, very solid, and especially in the sort of easier fixtures. Southampton away is an easier fixture. But then the Arsenal boys have got Palace at home. But then with Arsenal, it's a little bit harder to, from Spurs, Kane's the man, isn't he? From Arsenal, it's like, who's going to pop up the points? Is it going to be Odegaard? Is it going to be Martinelli? Is it going to be Saka? So that's why I probably will edge towards Kane for captaincy without giving that, an enormous amount of thought.
Sure.
I think that sort of what I've just said there will probably come to, I'll probably stick by that. And that was probably how I'll end up knowing how I play FPL, but who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind come the deadline.
But so in a way, it's exactly the same rationale as to why you went with Tony in the current game week, right?
Yeah.
Over those Brighton midfielders, in the same way you go with Kane, just because everything goes through him. If there's a goal, he's very likely to be involved, rather than spreading the risk and going for an Arsenal midfielder.
Yeah, exactly that. And even with my decision this week, it wasn't as if I was saying I think Tony will definitely outscore all the Brighton midfielders. It's like you said, it's more a case of being a little bit harder to predict where those points are coming from for Brighton. Whereas with the likes of a Tony and a Kane, they're so important to the team. They play centre forward week in, week out, 90 minutes week in, week out on penalties. Both very good at penalties, especially Tony, of course, doesn't really miss. So yeah, all those factors added in. Whereas with the sort of the Brighton midfielders and the Arsenal midfielders, there is more spreading of the points. So yeah, like I said, knowing how I play FPL, will Kane definitely outscore all the Arsenal midfielders? Possibly not, but has he got the lower? People use the term in FPL like the floor versus ceiling. Kane's probably got a decent floor there. You'd expect probably a goal there from him, 6 to 9 points as a minimum. Maybe one of the Arsenal midfielders goes crazy. Good luck to them, but I'll get those guaranteed sort of Kane points, hopefully. Yeah,
completely fair. Okay, let's talk about transfers, because I believe you'd have 2 free transfers for this game week.
Yeah, 2 free transfers. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, just that you have 9 starters.
Yeah.
So what's your thinking?
9 starters. I've got obviously Danny Ward on the bench away at Brighton as well, in case that's needed, but shouldn't be. But yeah, in terms of outfield players, my 2 free transfers. Again, I was contemplating Chilwell for the last few weeks, / Reece James. I was monitoring them closely. Chilwell scoring at the weekend is slightly annoying because it's just going to put him to the forefront of more people's minds, which means more people get him in, less of a differential when I do end up getting him. So early thoughts could change, but Estupinian to Chilwell, or again, I don't really want to go for Reece James right now because even if he's declared fit, it just seems like every week there's, he's got a tight hamstring this week. He's ill this week. He's rested this week. Are you really going to get a sustained period of games from Reece James? Possibly not. Whereas Chilwell right now looks more likely to do that. So yeah, Estupinian to Chilwell. Obviously, it takes out a Brighton player who then doubles the following week, but Brighton blank this week. So I'm taking away one of my fixtures for the double game at 29, but I'm getting myself 11 players this week. And then with the other transfer, initially it was lined up for Haaland to Watkins because Watkins has a good fixture this week at home to Bournemouth, is it? I believe. And then he plays in the double as well.
Yeah.
And I don't really want, if I could take out 2 Brighton players, but then like I said, it's weakening my double game at 29 team potentially. And likewise with Rashford, he has that double in 29. Haaland doesn't double. I fully expect him to score against Liverpool. I'm not saying that, but I'll just probably ride out what Haaland gets against Liverpool and then transfer him back in for Tony in week 30, I think.
Yeah.
Like I said, ideally I would be able to keep Haaland and bench him, but it just doesn't make sense to take out players who double in 29 when you've got Haaland there. And like I said, hope the damage is minimal against Liverpool. He isn't a captain option that week anyway because there's so many teams that double. That's my early thoughts. Haaland's Watkins was always sort of penciled in, and then someone like Maddison as well was tempting me this week. But I might pull the trigger on him in 29 instead now. It depends if I sort of favour getting Chilwell now or Maddison. I don't want necessarily, just because Maddison's blanked a couple of games, I don't want to be put off him. So yeah, Maddison, Chilwell, Watkins, 2 from those 3 will come in to give me 11 players.
It looks really strong, to be fair, mate. In yesterday's video on the channel, if you haven't yet watched it, it's with Bakar, and we do Bakar's optimal free hit draft for Gameweek 28. I'll link that down below and behind the I button right now if you guys haven't seen it yet. But in his team, the predicted points was very similar to what you have right now with no chip and just a couple of free transfers. And I guess that just shows that with good planning, you can really optimize certain weeks that may on paper not look really good.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And this is why a lot of people are saying, wildcard in 26 has been a failure. And what I'd say to that is it's been possibly a failure so far. But we've still got 2 fixtures left in this game week. We've still got the blank fixtures to come next week, which was a big reason to use the wildcard when we did. So hopefully, like I said, a good score then without using a chip. And we've still got double game at 29 to come before we can really judge the game week 26 wildcard. Plus, because we've managed to save a free hit doing this strategy, if we get a good free hit score in 32, that's part, or whenever we use it, that score will be in part due to wildcarding in week 26. So it's not as easy as, people just see maybe a low score for a couple of game weeks and say, okay, game week 26 wildcard was a mistake because Salah went crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then the players we brought in didn't do great. But it's a bit deeper than that. There's more to it than just the score on paper. Like I said, there's still games to come. There's still blank game week 28 to come, double game 29 to come. And then whenever we've managed to save our free hit by wildcarding, and that could come in handy later on in the season as well. Yeah,
it's one of those, isn't it? You can never really know how well the chips have done until really the end of the season, because we have, people could wildcard as late as 33 or even later. They could free hit in 38, anything could be the best strategy. You just don't really know. And as you say, we've had one bad week or a couple of bad weeks maybe on the wildcard with games still to go. But it's going to be something that we can see the results of in 12, 13 weeks at the very least. As you say, free hit 32. A lot depends on that, and it does look very strong. But I think that's going to do it for this one, mate. Anything else you want to add before we end?
No, all good. Let's just hope for some green arrows on Wednesday night with the Brighton and Brentford boys.
Oh, I hope so, my friend. I noticed in the intro, I said, red or green, where's this week? Knowing full well that your red arrow is fully on the screen, as is mine. Hasn't been too good so far, but we can pray. A big Wednesday night incoming. A big Wednesday night. Here's a question for you, Wes, before we leave. If Tony goes crazy, and Mitoma goes crazy, and March goes crazy, and they all score 3 goals.
Yeah.
How many beers will you have?
3. Well, for each goal that goes in, it will have to be a beer.
Is that the rule?
That would be 9 beers. That's
a heavy Wednesday. My word.
Yeah.
There we go. And the good news is,
Thursday.
No, we're recording at 8 a.m. on Thursday, straight after the games. Me and you, my friend. It's going to be great. All right, mate, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let's pray for some greens, and we'll see you all very soon with the next one.